Michael and Dave, Bleach, Birds, and Blunders. A Winged Wisdom production. One blustery Tuesday morning, Michael woke up with a grand idea. "I think it's time for a makeover," he declared, squinting at his reflection in the toaster, where a blurry, yet inspiring vision of himself with bleach-blonde hair glimmered back at him. "Time for a makeover," echoed Dave, his loyal pigeon friend, flapping excitedly. He was already imagining himself with vibrant, feather-fading hues, maybe a touch of blue, or even hot pink. Mr. Bojangles, in his usual top hat, monocle, and immaculate suit, looked up from his tea. "You two can't even find the salt in the cupboard. Do you really think you can manage bleach?" He shook his head, but the look of mischief in his eyes betrayed his amusement. "Onward!" Michael shouted, grabbing a tote bag and tossing in essentials, a spoon, an old map with coffee stains, and a banana peel, which Dave insisted would come in handy. Mr. Bojangles sighed but followed along, muttering about how he'd better supervise this catastrophe. Their first stop was the store at the end of their street, the place that sold everything from fishing rods to inflatable bananas. But when they asked the clerk for bleach, he looked horrified and whispered, "That stuff is dangerous. Only available at the secret hardware store in the woods." Michael's eyes sparkled. A secret hardware store in the woods? Adventure awaits. And so, with Mr. Bojangles sighing, they headed into the woods, tripping over tree roots and stepping on sticky burrs. Dave nearly got tangled in a spider web, flailing his wings like a wind-up toy. Eventually, they found the hardware store, a rundown shack with a hand-painted sign that read, "Closed except for special guests." Just as Michael was about to knock, the door swung open, revealing an old man in a pirate hat. Are ye the special guests who need the sacred bleach?" Yes," Michael said, looking uncertain but determined. The pirate handed them a bottle of bleach with a wink. "This isn't just any bleach. It's pirate strength, guaranteed to turn anything blinding white." He leaned in close. "But use with caution." Michael thanked him, and they set off back home, with Dave chirping excitedly about all the colors he'd add to his feathers. Halfway back, however, disaster struck. Michael tripped on a tree root and dropped the bleach, which rolled right into a mud puddle. Michael went after it, slipping and sliding, until he and the bleach were completely splattered in mud. "Fantastic," Mr. Bojangles said, brushing dirt off his suit. "We're going to look like swamp creatures instead of fashion icons." They finally got back to Michael's place and headed to the bathroom, which quickly turned into a chaotic hair salon. Michael wrapped a towel around his shoulders like a cape and poured half the bleach onto his head. Dave, meanwhile, stood proudly on the counter, holding a spoon for extra flair. But when Michael opened the dye for Dave's feathers, it squirted all over the mirror, the floor, and, of course, Mr. Bojangles' top hat. "What a vibrant purple this turned out to be," Mr. Bojangles muttered, staring at his hat, which was now dotted in neon splatters. "I look like a circus act." Michael and Dave could barely hold in their laughter. But then Michael's bleach started working too well. His hair turned snow-white in seconds, almost glowing. Dave, in a sudden burst of confidence, tipped the entire dye bottle over himself, only for his feathers to turn a bright, radioactive green. "Oh dear," Michael said, squinting at his own ghostly reflection, his hair nearly lighting up the room. "We may have overdone it." Dave, now a brilliant green, fluffed up his feathers proudly. "I think we're ready for the town fashion show." Mr. Bojangles shook his head, his suit now irreparably stained with purple, and sighed. "I suppose if you two are going, I might as well join in this unique style movement." So off they went, marching through town, a trio of misfits. People on the street stopped to stare as Michael, Dave, and Mr. Bojangles paraded through town with blinding white hair, green feathers, and a purple-splattered top hat. They didn't win any fashion awards, but they did make the local news. And as they headed home, exhausted but proud, Mr. Bojangles finally admitted, well, perhaps that bleach was worth it after all. Michael grinned, his new hair catching the last bit of sunlight. "Always," he replied, and Dave cooed in agreement, adding a triumphant pigeon power as they headed off into the sunset, a team of fabulously flawed heroes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And stay tuned for more videos.